Hey, it's your boy, Sergeant Hooked on Henshins. So we are today reviewing issue 1 of Rogue Sun. I've been meaning to do this video for a while. I just did one on Supermassive, and before that, issues 1 through 12 of Radiant Black, kind of talking about my thoughts and everything. So we're going to jump right into it. So from Supermassive, we know that Rogue Sun was Marcus Bell. And if you remember back to that review when I talked about it, or reading it, again, spoilers going forward right now, Marcus saw a vision of his himself dead, of his gravestone. And so this one actually starts with him being killed, actually. There's a new threat, this new villain we don't get the name of, that ends up killing him. And he tries to transform, it doesn't work, and basically just completely gets murdered. And so it gets like covered up somehow, being that it was a car accident somehow. They know that's not what it is, his family. So they're kind of upset and everything. But Dylan, his son Dylan, is going to be the one that inherits the powers. And this whole series so far, with issue 1 at least, kind of sets a very different tone from Radiant Black. Radiant Black is a little cleaner and more focused on like the powers, where do they come from, blah blah blah. This one I think we'll get into that, but it's super focused right now on this family drama that we'll get into in a minute, and also just being a little bit of a darker, edgier take on a superhero origin story, if you will. So we find out that Dylan's mom and dad were married at one point. They separated. He actually had saved her once, I guess, from a car accident or something. And she fell in love with him, whatever. They were together for a while. And then she was pregnant with Dylan. And I think he must have left at that point, or something happened where they split. And it wasn't too messy of a split. They just split up. Well, come to find out, he came back later, but come to find out, he had actually started another family. She had no idea. And actually stayed with them for a while. She had no idea. So she has another wife and also a daughter and a son. And somehow, either by the wife or by him, they had accrued a bunch of money, because there's a whole like will and testament that's read, and they give all of the like business holdings and a bunch of other stuff to the mother and the kids or whatever. But the Sunstone he wills it to Dylan, and Dylan's like, what? Why? And throughout it, we get the sense that Dylan is very much the story of, instead of giving the powers to the underdog, you're kind of giving the powers to somebody who maybe doesn't quite deserve them right away. He definitely comes off as like we're following the story of a bully. He at high school, an example there is a little slice of life there. He is like talking to this like nerdy kid, and there's this whole thing about the kid like completing his homework for him, and if he doesn't, then he won't keep him safe from the other bullies. He's like, but you told me you put me in a locker if I don't listen to you. He's like, shut up, blah blah blah. And so Dylan's well characterized, but it's kind of odd seeing a superhero story or superhero origin story focus on somebody who's not an underdog, somebody who's not at least somewhat a decent person. He's not a monster, and I'm guessing that as the comic progresses, as the storyline progresses, it'll start to get better. But it was really interesting to see that his dynamic with his mom is really, interesting. He does respect her, but he's a rebellious, angsty teenager. He clearly didn't have anything to do with his dad, and isn't really all that upset that his dad is dead, even though he knows he was a superhero, just like I'm sure his mom told him, whatever. But anyway, so the crux of the story comes when he's the one that gets the Sunstone that transforms him into Rogue Sun. And so he uses it right away, transforms and tries using it, and he ends up going against somebody from the Rogues Gallery that his dad had beforehand. I can't remember the villain's name. He's got this cool like mask over him, you can't really see his face. Well, he kicks Dylan's ass, and he's really surprised how it was possible he did that. He's like, I don't know how you don't know my name. Oh, you must be new, blah blah blah. Starts to kind of figure it out that it's some young kid or something like that. So I thought that was really interesting that he doesn't just go out there and is all of a sudden a badass with it. He goes out there and he's clumsy with the powers. Like he shows promise that he'll be definitely better with it eventually. But I like that it wasn't just like him being like assertive that he was the hero and, oh yeah, I got this power, I'm gonna do whatever I want with it now. And he got his butt kicked and kind of had to go back with his tail between his legs, kind of a situation. But as an issue 1, I think it was a really nice setup, especially with what we get from what's that called? Supermassive, as far as Marcus, and then leading into this with, this whole story. Makes me think that in Rogue Sun, in Supermassive, that who he was talking to was not Dylan's mom, but was maybe the other family that he had. And again, I like that it's messy. I like that it's dirty. I like that, you know, he's not a picture perfect hero, a little grungy. And I like the aesthetic of the powers kind of seeming like they might be sort of Ghost Rider like in terms of like, you know, supernatural and supernatural threats. There'll be other people that aren't supernatural enemies, if you will, adversaries that will come up, I'm sure. But as an issue number 1, I think it did a really good job of setting the tone for the series and giving us a good idea of who Dylan is as a character and his mother, their relationship to Marcus. A little bit showing off the powers and also at least a touch of villains there. I'll be interested to see who this mysterious character is that kicked Marcus's ass so hard that it killed him. And if that keeps coming back up and if he'll get revenge for that. If he'll want to, really, because, you know, he kind of feels now that he knows his dad had like another family, he gives even less of a shit about him. But yeah, I really like that. I think the artwork is great. I think the coloring is really good. And I think that the way that they set the panels, you know, does a really good job of setting this kind of darker, grungier, dirtier tone for things. And yeah, and I think I want to say they mentioned at one point when he gets the Sunstone or whatever that he wants to use it to like make money to help his mom out because his mom is also kind of struggling with bills and stuff, and kind of find out Marcus is like loaded or was loaded and like, you know, all this money and empire business shit. So but yeah, it's kind of an interesting way to look at it as far as a take on a superhero, because usually what we know when it's something like a hero passing down a mantle to somebody else or just a hero in general, they usually don't make them very like dark, dirty, and grungy like this. I mean, Marcus was kind of an asshole. Like, yeah, he was like a decent human. He wasn't going to murder people, but he also wasn't the best person, you know. And I think that's strong. I think that's good. And I think that's a nice way to take it. We're so used to with like the MCU and other stuff where like every single hero, for the most part, don't kill me in the comments, for the most part, and you know, and other different superhero things have been like, I'm gonna save the day because it's the right thing to do and I'm a good person, you know, kind of a thing. And that's not boring always to me. It's usually where Sentai and, you know, Rider go anyway. Most of them are pretty nice, goody two-shoe type people. But I do like it when they converge into more of a darker territory to show an origin story. Kind of similar in ways. It kind of gave me also some similar random vibes of like Unbreakable, where like Bruce Willis in that, if you haven't seen it, has like super strength, whatever. Like water is his weakness, is weird, but he also is kind of that way of like, you know, he's completely capable of like doing all those awesome things, but he keeps to himself. And he's kind of dickish and kind of an ass, you know. And so I kind of like that, having a bit of that twinge to it, because it sets a different tone for the story, and there's a lot more things you can explore there, like how the son now is going to deal with these supernatural threats once they come up. You know, with the legacy of his father, of all these villains knowing who his dad is, but not who he is. And just in general, him dealing with things being a teenager as opposed to Marcus, who was an adult. Also interesting to see if they're going to keep up with any more crossover stuff with Radiant Black and Infernal Girl Red, because Infernal Girl Red I think is like 16. So I think her and Dylan will be like a similar age. So it'd be interesting to see some more crossover stuff with them, just that they'd be, you know, similar age and everything, especially because she'll think it's Marcus, and then he'll be like, no, that he's an asshole, that was my dad. You know, just some fun little Easter eggs and stuff. But yeah, like I said, as a first issue, I thought it was really good. I think the cover art's really great. I think that the overall tone they're going for is good, and I really like Dylan as a character so far. I like that he's kind of a dick, and he's going to kind of like take some time to be kind of shaped into a better hero. And will he fall into the same kind of hero like his dad? Or will he become a better man, which will make him into a more honorable hero? Who knows? But I'm really liking it so far, and I'm hooked. So I'm definitely looking forward to issue 2 whenever that's supposed to be out. I think the next few months or something like that. So I think the first issue, I think I'd probably give it a strong 8 out of 10. It wasn't like, it didn't like completely blow my mind, captivate me like Supermassive and Radiant Black, you know, their first few issues and everything, but it was still really good as a start for the character to see where he's going to go and to figure out this mystery of who like targeted his dad and tried killing him. Did they want the Sunstone? What did they want it for? Maybe we'll get into the origins of the Sunstone and where it came from, because I'm sure Marcus got it from his dad, and has it just been passed down their, you know, generational line or whatever. But yeah, like I said, it's a really, really great first issue. So I definitely give it a strong 8 out of 10. As far as content coming up on the channel, I'm going to try to work on a final like Zenkaiger video, like my, you know, final series review / thoughts. Probably gonna be a lot of rambling, but just want to kind of get my thoughts out there and everything, and how I feel about the whole series as a whole now that I've reviewed all the episodes. And other than that, going to keep up as much as I can with Revice and Don Brothers as much as I possibly can. We're going to be moving into our new house this weekend, coming up soon, so there might be a little bit of a block of videos where I won't have a lot out. So I'm trying to put a lot out this week, so you guys have some videos to crunch through before I need to mix up some more to throw at you, so to speak. But if you guys liked today's video, let me know in the comments below. What did you guys think of Rogue Sun? Have you read it yet? Have you not? It's available digitally. I read it through the Kindle app on my phone, or you can do it through the Kindle, like Amazon Kindle tablet, or on the computer. You can also get it physically. Clearly, it might be a little tougher because it's a more lesser-known independent comic rather than the big, boys like DC and Marvel. But let me know in the comments what you guys think. Do you like Dylan as a character? Do you think it's going to be interesting to see his way of doing things as Rogue Sun as opposed to his dad? And that whole mystery of who killed him and everything. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Again, I really appreciate you guys for subscribing, for liking, sharing, commenting, even disliking to an extent, honestly. I really do enjoy that. So thank you guys very, very much for the support. But as always, until next time, stay hooked on Henshins. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.